Hey, Jason, this is for Sophia Travis Grants Committee, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm I was in the right meeting. Thank you. Hey there. I can't hear anybody, so I don't know if you guys are still working on the audio there.
Can you hear us now?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now.
You're just muted.
Oh, okay.
Okay, hello there. Hi, Jean.
Hey.
We're just having our little challenges here.
Okay, just sent it to you.
I don't know. Where did you get us?
Off of the calendar.
But I
For
was,
some reason, it's not on our email calendar. It's not working.
oh.
I don't
it's
know
not-
why, but
It's another, oh, the county calendar.
Mhm.
That's what I didn't do. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I could. Hi there, Josh. No
Hi.
worries.
Go.
Hello.
No worries, we're here.
This meeting is open to the public, yet none are here.
And none are, which is a good thing because we look like idiots.
But we're having technical.
Technical difficulties.
I
So
think we all look very nice.
I think we're.
You guys went on mute again.
They probably did it on purpose because they haven't started yet.
Oh, okay.
And I'm unmuted. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon, Monroe County. I'm not properly unmuted. Hold on.
I can hear you.
Hold on. How does that sound now? Not good.
I could hear you before whatever you did.
I'm trying to,
Do you have your computer muted?
She's getting your sound through the owl.
I know, now am I okay? I think I am
Yeah,
now.
there's no echo.
Didn't want an echo. For this afternoon's meeting of the Sophia Travis Community Services Grants Program Review Committee. We are so happy to be here today because this concludes most of our work when we get it done. And what we're going to cover today is just the scoring recommendations that we will recommend to the full Monroe County Council. And then a reminder of what we talked about with the resolution that will come up for the county council. And and that will be it, except for deciding how we want to present the recommendations to the council. So to get started, I want to share with you all your own scoring. And this is on and I'm going to share my screen. And I'm trying to do that. PSD, can I share my screen, please?
Yep. There you go.
You.
Also, hello, Josh. It's Jason Boyles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How's it going?
that's going all right. Wasn't expecting to see you here, but that's just my bit.
He's everywhere. How are we doing getting Cheryl's screen shared?
You should be able to share now.
What do I-
It's
Let me get back to the. I'm clicking the button and it says share screen and nothing happens.
well.
Hmm. See this?
Oh, never mind. Yep. Try now.
Oh,
It's grayed out.
try. Ooh,
What is she?
put them in there.
Go from in here?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. I'm in
That
the,
green.
I'm doing the wrong share screen button. I had two.
Now we're sharing.
Awesome.
Wonderful. And what's this down here? And thank you to everyone who put in their scoring on time. I really appreciate that. And I'm going down to the very bottom of the scoring in order to show you that there were only two people, Jean and Trent, who allocated the total amount that we have. Trent maybe did this because he didn't hear our discussion at the last meeting,
Oh,
that it was okay to round. And so I left off $2, Jennifer left off 65, and Josh left off 12. So it doesn't make any difference. It really comes out in the wall, comes out fine. And the other thing that I want to say before we look at these things is that there is no right score and there is no wrong score. And our scoring statistics simply tell us a great deal about our work together as a committee. So I'm going to refer you to the green, olive green columns, the standard deviation of the mean of our scoring. And you can see that we are incredibly consistent among ourselves. So I don't know, this just means great minds work alike or
I like it.
whatever. And there's only one unusual score, and that is the one in pale gold.
Hmm.
And that was, as I said, there are no wrong scores and no right scores.
Oh, yes, me, yeah,
But
I'll tell you why too.
yes, please tell us why.
Okay, so we had a really compelling discussion about salaries, and Jean brought up a lot of really good points.
Yes, she did.
And so what I did first, I started by giving everybody an even share and then going up or down from that. And then after doing that completely, I approached it the opposite direction and said, what would happen if I just took 10,000 out? So give everybody the full amount they asked for. You take out the 10,000, it's a little more, but the difference. And so I went to the ones that asked for salaries,
Mhm.
and not for stipends, not for hiring out,
Mhm.
but exactly the things that we were talking about that we should prioritize the least. And I either took out the amount that they asked for in that, so one is Lotus, or with New Leaf New Life, all they asked for was salaries, straight up salary.
Mhm.
So I put them at, I still gave them something at 2,000 as opposed to the 8 they asked for. And then with there's one other one, so I got the cutting the 10,000 out
Get it down
was
there.
down at 13 First Book. They already fully funded themselves, not pending, but totally funded. Gene also mentioned that, and I thought that was a really good point. And so I still gave them the amount, ended up rounding down a little bit, but the amount for essentially one book, but they're already funded for the project. And so I essentially took out the things that we value the least. And again, still gave some money, right? Or the ones that were fully funded and ended up with being able to fund everything almost entirely fully. With rounding some off, I took
Mhm.
some off of each ones to get there. But I found that to be pretty interesting. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that, with the salaries.
So like Josh, I paid attention to salaries. And then I looked to see how salary like they were. And actually I highlighted my scoring cell, but I took it off for this purpose. So I could pay attention to, those, proposals that had requested salaries. On Team First Book, my thinking was, the proposal wasn't clear. And I have known them since they first came to Sophia Travis. And I just think they're using their national funding allotments, and they do like to raise locally. Do you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know at what point if we should put something in our application to make sure that if they already have all the funding they need, that they're not making a request.
Yeah.
And that their proposed budget is clear that they do need funding. So Molly, will you help me remember that next year?
Yeah,
Oh,
do you
and
want to
whoever-
go ahead and add it to the ordinance or that we were just revising, and then we can re-vote on the ordinance and do this?
Oh,
year?
let's get done with our scoring and then we'll talk about the ordinance again. And that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay. We can simply go using our average, and then in the slightly oranger pink, rounded average after committee discussion. And use this as our recommendation. And it leaves $22 on the table, which I think is fine to add in, or we can distribute the $22. It's just such a round number. We could distribute $20.
Yeah.
And just see how that goes. So any comments from you, Jen?
You know, I think we all, and listening to both you and Josh talk about how you kind of came to be, and then get some guidance from Trent as well. I personally did the same thing that everybody else did.
I mean, it
yeah.
shows in our standard
Yeah,
deviation.
Yeah, yeah, it was actually really awesome to sit there and just kind of take the time and go back and forth. There were a couple of ones that I hadn't questioned, just like Josh did, but the books, team books. But you know, just trying to really hone in on the needs of the community. And just kind of take into comparison what was already funded, what was committed, and, you know, really take a look at the proposal and the need that they needed. So this was, as my first time doing this was actually really good to do.
I think you and Jean, as our newbies.
Yeah.
Our newbies,
Yeah,
did a really great job, and we all just worked as a team on
yeah,
this.
this is awesome.
So, Jean, do you have any comments?
I would just go back to Team First Book. Initially, when I was making the allocation for that one, I was suggesting to allocate just what was the actual gap. And oh, actually, no, I think I put down something, and then figured, you know, if they get the full amount that they requested, and then they end up being able to buy more books, that's a good thing, you know. So
That's my thought process too.
That's where I was.
Yeah, for sure. And I can come up on that too. We can. I'm sure I can take out from something else if we
But
found that.
it's not necessarily that people need to add on or take off from somewhere else if we are all happy with the rounded average
Oh, right. Yeah.
for the project. And I'm going to hide some cells here so we can focus on
yeah,
our excuse me, Trent.
One thing, just before we do that,
Mhm.
I think I made a clerical error
Okay,
on Sojourn House.
uh-huh,
I have 6377, that's more than they asked 4 and I would not have done that. So
Okay,
I would prefer to round that down to the max, which is 6322.
okay, I'm gonna change that right now.
Because I don't know why. And I don't, it was not intentional.
And so that gives you $55 to play with. And if you remember that we do like to spend all that the council allocates to us, except for maybe $2. And now our rounded average is $32 surplus. So we have $30 to spend somewhere. And we don't have to allocate somewhere. We don't have to do it individually. We can simply do it in the after discussion column AA,
Okay.
which is, how did we not, how's my screen not here? Oh,
Oh, I think it's because
it's hiding.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Let me get it over here. I need to pay attention to what's up there rather than on my screen. I'm gonna go back and find our individual minimum and max ones from here. And what I wanted to see was the grant request. Yeah. Knowing that we collectively have $30 that we can award. Is there a place that we could, that anybody would want to beef up? And to look at your, it'll be slightly different because Trent changed it. Because Trent screwed it. It's only slightly different, only slightly.
you know,
So $30. I'm looking at some that have weird numbers. And the average for Beacon, for example, is 77,320. So with $30 to Beacon, that would be $350. We could go add more to
Well, I mean, how about Team First Book?
Team First Book. We can add more to Team First Book, which would, no, yes, we can. Yes, we can.
So I was kind of low on that one, maybe.
Okay, that would be, I'm happy with that. Anybody else?
Yeah, I say add it to Team First Book.
I'd be okay with that.
Okay, then the way I'm going to do that then is not mess with our statistics here, but put it into the blue column to the right, final recommended award. And what? No, sorry. And there we are, just with $2 remaining. Okay. So I'm gonna go through this pretty slowly so you can see all of them together. Okay. Uh-oh, we did something wrong. We have too much in all options.
You know what?
How do
And
we
I
do
think
that?
that might be me. Because I think I had
Okay.
a Trent moment
Did you trend that?
where I,
Okay,
I did, I think I
We
gave
have-
them,
we now
Yeah.
have a $200 allocation
Yeah.
to make. That we
You
can,
know what?
we can
I'm-
split up.
Right.
Okay, would you like all options, everybody, to be 5,000 even, which was their request?
Yes,
let's say yes.
Okay, I'm gonna do that. Okay, big spenders, let's see where we want to allocate our $200. Anybody, so you can look at their request and I'm gonna scroll down now a little bit. Scrolling, whoops, that, I was at the bottom. I'm scrolling back up so you can contemplate. It's pretty close to what is on your, your, column, pink column. Okay, so another way we can look at this is percent of requests recommended for funding.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of staring at and seeing.
And so that's the recommended divided by what was requested. And one low one is Hoosiers Feeding the Hungry. Lotus is also low. New Leaf, New Life is low. That's about it.
New Leaf, New Life was salary.
It was
request,
a
right?
salary
Okay.
issue.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm, again, like, I'm willing to.
Me too.
Just after having that conversation, it felt like a pretty easy thing to go through and, you know, and look at who's
Right.
fitting what we
And-
prioritize.
And
It's
another year with many more applicants
Mhm.
compared to what we have available to allocate. We might really be stretched.
Yeah,
It, a lot depends just on what's available.
yeah.
You know,
I-
I feel comfortable adding a little more to New Leaf, New Life, even though it's solely, you know, for funding salaries. Because the payoff for funding those salaries to do that case management is, you know, pretty huge in terms of reducing recidivism.
Yeah.
You know, and helping people get on their feet and be successful. And
And maybe
so-
working for New Leaf, New Life is almost like a stipend.
Pardon?
I said maybe working for New Leaf, New Life is, and providing the in-jail services is almost like a stipend.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, my preference would probably be to add it back to, or add it into New Leaf, New Life.
Okay, anybody else have a comment on this?
What's, the lowest is Lotus, right? I felt
The
like-
lowest is low.
seemed like
We're like
Lotus was kind of
60.
the only one in this.
Yeah, you
Um,
want to give them,
well,
want to split it?
I mean, and we can talk about that too, like as far as how we were all pretty close on Lotus, right?
We were,
Pretty even.
yeah, we're still at green.
You know, even though a lot of their proposal was also to fund salaries, it was funding staff time for a particular program. And those staff, it sounds like are employed regardless of whether they do that program or not. New Leaf, New Life, it's funding staff to do their whole program.
Mhm.
Rather than carving out their time for one particular special program. And so for me, in my mind, there's a difference. And I'm not sure I'm articulating it well, but
I get where you're coming from,
Mhm.
Jean. Like, this helps. Like with New Leaf, New Life, and I don't know if I'm gonna articulate it very well, but I see where you're going with that, like the need versus the need slash want, if you will,
Mhm,
for Lotus. And I see that, and I think that's where I was gonna say, in terms of like, what is truly essential, well, in my mind, what I think of and what I was trying to do in terms of this whole allocations part is try to figure out which programs would falter and not benefit the needs of the community versus what would happen, in terms of, personnel, if you will. And I think that's where my mind goes in terms of this. And I would be more willing to give more towards, not saying that they don't need it, by all means, would love to see how we could get them up there, but what is the truly need for something? Would, if they don't have this, they can't help this person, which ultimately has a domino effect.
mhm.
Versus what would happen with Lotus if, we don't give this, what would happen if that were to be? So I get where Jean is coming from, and I'm actually on board with that.
I mean, it's a hard decision because, the mission of Lotus, is, I mean, it's an important mission. I believe in funding the arts in the community, and I think it, good, I think that supporting the arts in a community makes a community like more human and connected. So, I want to see their program that's targeted at kids and engendering creativity in kids be successful. The same time, I'm weighing that against New Life, where, folks coming out of prison and jails and, needing to get housing and transportation and all of that, those basic needs. So yeah, that's hard.
And I think you bring up some really good points, Gene, and coming from a not-for-profit arts background, one thing that's commonly difficult is there are a lot of organizations like New Leaf New Life that are helping to address a problem, whereas organizations like Lotus or some of the other education or arts-oriented ones are trying to help with community and cultural change that have less of those problems. When kids are more involved in arts, when kids are more involved in education, when we have more robust culture and community, we have less of those problems to address down the road, right?
Yeah.
But it's difficult to know that we have this problem, a limited amount of money, and to not address it, right? So it's always that sort of difficulty of trying to create a better infrastructure of our culture and community for down the road with addressing the direct problems that we have right now. It's tough. I don't know that I'm offering an answer, other than just saying that I do see value, as Gene had mentioned too, in Lotus and all the education and arts programs. But that being said, I'm good with it going to New Leaf New Life as well.
It's $200 we're talking.
Yeah.
Do you just split it?
You could.
And I think that might be the best thing to do is because, and I agree, with your point, Josh, is, if we invest in the arts as kids are younger and they, are products of our community and grow up through this, maybe we won't have the issue of lots of things. And I'm on board with that as well. But I also think both are really have, good needs. It's 200, just split it even between the two, and I think we could be okay.
And that still gives New Leaf New Life a higher percentage
Yeah.
of what they asked for then.
Absolutely.
So we are still,
We're helping them both. a little.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of choosing one or the other.
This is always a tough one for me because comic books and arts essentially changed my life. And on the flip side, when I look at decisions like this, I start triaging them. We gotta have
Right.
this because this is gonna be, but what I like about the thing that I love about this committee in particular is we have the citizen appointments that help us kind of figure that out and sort of reset county priorities to match what are not for profits, which are telling us, right?
Yeah.
And I do like this notion of, I
Mhm.
love, let's go down both these directions. Because I can, if left to my own bad devices, I can get into a real triage of things and not see those things that do change lives.
Sure.
Because that incidental moment type thing. So, yeah, I love the mission split.
So, everybody like the idea of splitting
Yeah.
our $200?
Yeah.
Here
Yeah,
goes.
I'm good.
I get to have all the fun here of changing the number.
And Cheryl,
Make sure I do this right.
this sheet is amazing.
Yeah.
It
This helped
blows my
tremendously.
mind. We were doing this on a Word document and now
Mhm.
it's we'd be in bad shape.
Well, okay, so, well, we brought both of those up, some percentage, which is great. And let me check the bottom line. Oh, there it is. We're good down there. Nobody's making more than 100%, which is good. Nobody's making 0. And I think we did a great job. I think we have recommendations that are very easy to present to the council. So we probably should take a formal vote on this. And could we have a motion, please, to vote on the light blue column allocation?
Right. I'll make a motion to vote to approve the final recommended award for our committee.
Here we go. We can sometimes the second the motion.
Okay.
That's definitely what you all said.
John just seconded. That's great. And any further discussion on this or comments? Okay, Molly, would you call the roll call vote for us?
Sure. And Kim, are you still there? Do you want to do a roll call vote?
Is Kim on this?
Yeah.
Hey, Kim. Well, Molly, do a roll call. vote.
Okay,
It's a-
Counselor, I haven't looked at the document.
Okay,
Counselor
we go.
Munson,
yes.
Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Counselor Decker,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson
Mr. Johnson, I didn't know your last name,
Oh,
sorry.
that's okay. Yes.
and Miss Kaplan.
Miss Kapler.
Yes.
That's the
Wonderful.
Worst roll call vote.
Thank you all for being formal, but we do have to record this.
Yeah.
We used to treat this committee as more like a working group rather than a formal committee, and our county attorney and our county administrator trying to beat us into shape on this.
No.
So we will be formal. Okay, the next thing we should discuss is how Jean and Josh want to present this to the council. And it's really, we just have somebody read it. And I can't think of there being very many questions from council members. The council members all have access on the web to the applications. And we will have two separated motions, which is a tradition of this particular county council for Sophia Travis grants, and that is to separate out all options and Planned Parenthood, so that those grants can be considered separately from all the rest. And this is at the request of Councilor Hawk, because she does want to vote in favor of county funds for our not-for-profits, but not for those that have anything to do with for organizations that have anything to do with abortion.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because that was going to be a question of, will we have somebody that will object to that? Or I'm sure if public, with everything being as heightened as it is, would come in and make comments as well. So,
So there might be, in the past, we've had the room packed to overflowing, the rafters in the hallways and down the stairs, because we were considering this. It's not, and we had, lots of public testimony. Trent wasn't around, he was working for the state. the other day. It was very difficult.
this
I
was
was-
a few
I was-
years ago, wasn't it?
It was about 6 years ago that I was president,
I think I remember.
and I can relay this because it's documented in CAS. That one of the people who was strongly in opposition was a person who is a brother in the Catholic Church, I believe. I don't think he's around anymore. Do you know who I'm talking about? He would wear a brown robe. And
Yeah.
do you know who I'm talking about, Mama?
I do not, but,
Hey, where-
Michelle also has a comment.
Okay. Michelle, do you want to comment before I finish this discussion?
I was just gonna say, it was during 2015. That was my first
2015.
year here. And
Come here.
yeah, he's the gentleman you're speaking of is a monk.
The monk, thank you, not a brother, but a monk. And he was passionate in his opposition to any organization that had anything to do with abortion. And he stood up and condemned the council for considering this. And he did shake his Bible at us and say, "God damn you, county council." And that was so shocking. I just wanted him to be quiet and go away. That I simply said, "Thank you, next."
But I think that's the right, I mean,
Yeah.
he said it, he says his.
Yeah.
And Shelley was sitting next to me. Thank you, thank you.
Wow.
It was really,
We take blessings too.
Yeah. right.
so we've been damned, and we probably could stay in the blessing and the county council. Could have one of those.
Yeah, I remember.
So we will have,
discussions.
okay. So I think we'll just refer these as the first and second amendment motion in our agenda.
Yeah.
And let's end on a positive note and have the first one first, with just two organizations.
Yeah.
Okay. And Jean and Josh, would you like to take turns with those motions and present what the committee's recommendations are, or would you guys like to divvy it up some other way?
If I can make a statement,
Sure, please.
they don't make the motion. They just present the items. They go back
Yeah.
and forth in presenting, like, all options gets this amount and for this reason.
Yes, and it is for their particular grant request. So
Right.
you could go back and forth,
Mhm.
and I think that would be great.
So
And
when we're presenting, okay, all options, and are we going to present the two that are being split out together? And then let the council vote on those and then everybody else? Or do we present everybody else and then the council makes two separate motions?
No,
What we've done in the past is we've presented them all at one time, and then somebody makes a follow-up motion that they would like to have it separated. And so we're always prepared for the separation.
Kim, we don't have to do that. This committee can decide right now to have 2 motions, so we don't have a long discussion about this.
Mhm.
Well,
And
because last year we went ahead and did it, but then we had somebody else add another group to that, so that which was Jeff McKim, so that he could vote separately. He wanted to vote for everything else, but he couldn't vote for a particular one. So
okay, how about I check with Jeff to see
well,
if,
I'm going to send a memo out to the council with your, this amount, and they're not to share it. And then I always ask, is there anybody that would like to have items pulled, either because you want to vote separately on them or to recuse yourself or something? So that way,
recusing is just, they just pass when they vote.
right,
So it's not, we don't need to know if they are going to recuse themselves, just if they
But-
do not want to vote on them because of a conflict.
right. And, but as I was saying, that way they could either recuse, they could abstain, or they can, you know, either with a vote, no vote. And then that way we know, or I kind of know ahead of time who's going to be on what list. So,
Okay, I'm going to muddy this a little bit with some other history, and that is, there have been times when there's been no response about separating the vote until it is in the meeting, and then a great big deal was made out of it, and the discussion went on and on. And I don't think that's helpful to the council or to the organizations. I think it's confusing to the public. So, maybe I will just make sure to reply to your memo to the council, Kim, and I will ask for the abortion-related organization to be separated, so that we don't have that come up and somebody
Okay.
forget to reply to the memo.
And can I ask that if we separate out all options and Planned Parenthood from the rest in presentation, unless Josh objects, I would really like to present those.
I don't think we need to separate them out for
Okay.
presentation. I think,
Okay.
okay, the order will be, we'll first have a presentation and you two can take turns.
Okay.
And we can make a nice list in the Word document with Kim's help, and alternate shaded and unshaded lines, so it'll be easy for you to read. Kim, are you there on that?
Yep. Yeah, that's what I normally do.
So it's my understanding that Josh and Jean will take turns presenting,
Mhm.
and then the council will have 2 separate motions, with 2 being all options and Planned Parenthood being on one and everything else on the other.
Unless Jeff McKim
Oh,
or somebody else
Okay,
has
What was the?
Okay.
a recusal,
got it.
that would keep them from voting on whatever.
Do you
Got
remember what Jeff's conflict was?
Yes, he works for the federal government,
Oh, okay.
and I can't remember what that involved.
Interesting.
It was something.
Okay. No, it's
And
not
it might have
just
been transportation related.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
It's not a big deal. I just-
Yeah,
Thank you.
and you know how they have funds that are already committed or pending. Somebody who's a federal employee should look at committed and pending funds.
Got it. Okay.
To see if there's another federal program there that would cause a conflict.
That makes sense. Okay.
Okay.
And Kim, if it doesn't end up where Jean would have both of those, all options of Planned Parenthood, I'm totally fine with putting her name on that, even if that means that maybe we go twice in a different one. But Jean, if you were, that's what you'd like to.
I can take care of that.
Yes, it'll be good. So, okay, well, I'm so glad that we can do this. And for Josh and Jean, our meeting is on the 23rd.
Third,
Yeah,
Picture.
August is disappearing. What?
Yeah, I said that's
Third at
picture.
5:30.
23rd at 5:30.
So that's great.
And then as far as what we'll read, will that sort of be
Oh,
also,
it'd be like all options for their diaper program,
right, so it'll just be this, we don't have to. go through-
$5,000.
Right.
Light
Yeah.
yellow,
I'll create the
bright yellow,
document for
light
you.
blue.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
So- so
create
we'll
a
have that.
document for you, so it'll be easier.
I just didn't know if we needed to say anything else, but that's perfect, thank you.
So great. So I think that leaves us with the resolution. And we have the possibility of making another change. And Molly, would you like to share your screen? I need to unshare my screen.
Yes, stop sharing.
I got it right there. Thank you.
So I started to type something here in blue, but what would you like it to say?
It. Should not apply. No, I don't know.
So
Are not eligible to apply.
maybe something like, I don't know, this isn't helpful, but something like you can only apply for an amount. You know, that's.
A positive. Applicants may only apply for an amount that is,
And positive and not X or excess.
that is.
Yeah,
Fund, not in excess of funds expected to be received.
Exactly.
Good, good.
right, we talked about how that's different from potential funds, so from, you know, because we don't know, we're saying yes, right, but they were already fully funded. On money that already received, right, so I think that that's good to even that too. You know, it doesn't mean that the organization doesn't have the money, but they would cover it anyway. It just means that
Sure.
they've already fundraised
Yes,
through
And
something
people
else.
reading
get
this
it,
would be
yeah.
like. The applicants reading this like, well, of course, I wouldn't be even have started reading the application.
Right.
Take the day off.
So you're-
All the people who do development work, they're treasures. It's amazing.
Are we okay with that wording?
Well. Well, no, so what we want to talk about is the difference between expected funds and the needed funds, right? And so all they can apply for is that amount that is in between. If they already have guaranteed funds of 1,500 and the project is 2,000, they can only ask for 5.
Maybe we say in excess of guaranteed funds that are expecting to be received. Would that,
Well, guaranteed and expected are flashing there. Of funds that are guaranteed to be received.
Those are the ones that are already committed, right?
Yes.
Yes, or maybe committed.
Committed, that's what we need, funds that are committed to be received.
Because there's always a lot of, you know, applying for multiple grants at the same
I
time.
think
you
that
don't know what you're gonna
committed
get
is
from
a
one.
kind
Yeah,
of verb
yes.
that
But I think though this feels to me like.
requires
of the committed funds.
funds that are committed to. I think we have to get rid of that word.
Well, I think so, like, what's the way to say that? Because what they were asking.
That
for
are in
is-
excess of committed funds.
Yeah.
Well, Well, no, because committed funds, you can be in excess of committed funds. My committed funds can only be $500. And my goal is 2,000, right? So I can ask for more than my committed funds. I can ask for 1,500, but I can't ask for 2,000.
Do you say 2,000?
Does that make sense? Well, what I'm saying is that the difference is that what we're talking about is they can't go over what their goal is, right? They can't go over. So the
Right.
project,
No, I see what you're saying.
the project cost is what we need to talk about, right? Because any money that Team First Book asked for goes over their project costs.
Yeah.
Because they already, because we request what funds they already have committed
So I just,
and that already got there.
we have to talk to Team First.
What about funding an amount that is not in excess of the difference between project costs and committed funds?
That's it.
I'll wait till I can see it on.
That
the
is
screen.
not in excess of the difference between project costs and committed funds.
And we can even say committed funds from other, because.
From other sources.
Right, from other sources, yes, because the thing is that, again, that organization may have the money to cover it anyway from something else, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's fine, and we sort of expect that, right? When we don't
Yeah.
fully fund everybody, we expect that they have something of their own. But this is so they don't get the full 2,000 from us and the full 2,000 from the BAC and the full 2,000 that are all overlapping.
Mhm.
And you could always do a for example, put an example in there, clarify.
Yeah,
Oh, that
Okay.
would probably be good.
yeah, I didn't know if we do that very much in this, but I think that's the first thing that came to mind too. I think it's great.
I like the, for example, that.
Yeah.
If an agency has secured, the agency is submitting.
That cost,
Cost.
call it $5,000.
Has already received committed funds.
5,000.
Well, let's say of 2,500, they can only ask for an additional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Request.
It probably shouldn't be good. I know I said it, but if it can, they just say can.
Good.
It's good,
Or less. I can't imagine they'd want to, but
Right, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I like
yeah.
more or less,
Yeah.
because they might be applying
Mhm.
for another organization.
Right, because then you have your other potential grant sources, right? So then maybe it's something that's.
So does your committed funding also include the pending?
No.
No, that's pending is different than.
So I kept saying potential, but pending is what.
Okay,
And I guess we can put that in there too, that committed and pending are different, right? We just explained what we mean by committed funding, right?
Does not include pending.
Right. So if they've already received the grant, the BAC grant, they know they have that. If they're waiting on the BAC's administrative grant that people are applying for right now, then that's pending, right? That's the difference. right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that will help our applicants.
And I just put this under the category application guidelines. So I
Mhm.
scroll over, so it's just
It's
under application guidelines, but I put it before the whole conversation or guidance on collaborative projects.
I think that's a great place for it.
it looks good.
Well, we have a revised
I think we should,
resolution.
well, I think you could take a vote on this revised resolution, and then we could still present it at the work session.
Okay, anybody wish to make a motion on this? For the committee here?
Should we see the top of it again? Are we adopting the entire or the addition?
No,
We
we already
adopted
voted on the
everything
other
before.
changes.
We adopted everything on, all the other changes.
Monday.
on Monday.
Gotcha.
So this would just be the
Oh, I'm sorry,
adoption
Fran.
of blue.
Trent, do you know the changes that we made on Monday?
Well, no,
Let's
but
summarize these for you.
Right, I can do this.
Okay, go ahead, Molly, if you want to show us.
So what I did was, there were 3 separate resolutions pertaining to the Sophia Travis Grant Committee, and I just combined them in one big resolution or big ordinance to make it easier to refer to and to provide everyone clarity when considering. So everything in black in this ordinance is language taken directly from one of the 3 resolutions. I did fix some grammatical errors or added some sentences just to make the document flow when reading it. The big changes start. We discussed some membership changes, and they're right here. So,
Oh, you have to hide, on your screen, you have to hide the participant. The little minus sign there.
it's hidden on my screen, so I don't know if that's on the T.
Oh, I think it's, yeah, whoever.
Is it
It's
me?
the TSD. Oh, I think it's TS. I think they're visible on the TSD.
Oh.
TSD, could you hide the
Hide us?
hide the panel bar, I guess? I don't know the official name for that.
Uh,
Can you minimize
let's
it?
see.
I think you can do it. Molly.
Yeah,
did
I'm
it
not sure. I'm not sure if that's something we
I
can
did it on
control on
mine,
our end.
Molly. With just the minus sign.
Oh, I bet it's out there on the computer in the other room.
Oh, you had to have it on the computer in there.
Yeah. So it is minimized on my laptop.
No, I think if you logged in under HR conference room, so through the owl, is that what you're
Oh,
trying
here
to?
we go. That's legible, Molly.
Okay.
awesome.
I just- what was I gonna do with it?
Okay.
Well, my screen vanished on my computer, and it says your screen sharing is paused, so I can't see it anymore. Okay, then I'm just gonna reshare it. Okay, so for the membership language, the change was that we clarified that the community members would serve a 2-year term. That their terms would be. Oh, and when they would start their terms. Did we intend for their terms to be staggered?
They have been, we managed to do that.
Yes, I came in the middle of the year, I think.
Do you want that
We-
language to
We
be added?
often don't get the applicants until March,
Right,
April.
I think that's right, I think. April is
And
right.
that has been the traditional thing.
Do you want me to add that language?
What?
Says, yeah, that the term should be staggered.
Yes, the term should be staggered.
And then the other big change there, Counselor Decker, is that we added where if a community member is unable to perform their duties during their term, that an interim person could be appointed.
Makes sense to me.
I think there's a wording problem in the second paragraph, Molly.
So any of that in community.
Is a community at-large member.
Is unable. to an event in the planning community.
Yeah.
Is that large hyphenated?
Yes, for clarity, yeah.
At large members unable to form, it should be. Is there encouraging this during any portion of their. Her 2-year term, our community. At large member may be appointed in the interim to perform some shapes, the interim community.
Do we need his or their?
That's what I was thinking.
I think it's good.
I think
Okay.
Yeah,
maybe,
more gender inclusive. Or just inclusive language.
there's
period.
going to become a word someday that is just his or. HIVZER.
We couldn't
Or
just say
his or.
there.
Right, well, that's, and there was.
Yeah, I feel like there is just more.
I mean, it could also sound like, it could be multiple.
Sure.
So community is capitalized in the first sentence, but not in the following text. There we go.
And in the blue sentence, it needs to be plural members.
Thank you, Jean. Good eagle eye.
All right, you want me to, are we good with the membership language right there?
That's good. This was, what happens if somebody on the committee, a community member, all of a sudden got sick right as we're getting ready to score? We would like to, we can't drag in somebody off the street to do it. We thought we could get a previous person to go in.
And then the language changes under the duties section. We added assistance under subsection A to make the resolution ordinance match the application language. And then I added sentences to formalize what the application process was and what the review committee would be doing.
So why are we a review committee? I always thought it was the grants committee, but
The original, I used the language review committee because in ordinance 2008-51, it refers to the committee as the review committee.
oh, well, we haven't been paying attention to that ordinance for a long time.
Guessing.
Grants,
I can change it to grants.
just leave it grants, because that's what people have been calling it, so. I
Okay.
would,
I'll go back.
you'll just have to,
Yeah, I'll go back and change all the review committees because there's a lot.
I know, because we could be reviewing lots of things.
Under the criteria section, so subsection E, we added subsection E and then under point 4, we added these 3 clarifying points on operational expenses. And then in the previous resolutions, there wasn't application guidelines, so based on what was on the application, I developed some application guidelines. And it really is who can apply, what is required when you apply, and then what is the grant process. We just added this blue section.
This is really tightening things up for us, because it's been,
And then the other big change is that we, the committee voted, or is going to recommend that agencies are limited to 1 application unless they're part of a collaborative project. So subsection F sets that out along with what qualifies as a collaborative project.
And not to make things difficult, but why did So we had an organization that submitted too.
Yeah,
Yes.
and this was the first time that has happened.
Right, so, right, so, and I imagine that's what triggered this, right, but, so the idea is that then. We just let it happen this time, and then now we have a different,
And now and then we, going forward, we'll have ordinance
sorry, but I don't mean to.
that will guide
Yeah,
us.
but I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure that that's correct.
And
And, I looked at the language from the Jack Hopkins, application on what a collaborative project was defined as.
which is good. And we have had collaborative projects in the past.
Yeah.
And there was some language somewhere about that we wanted to encourage collaborative projects, and I don't know. remember
There was
where.
language in the original 2008
Ah.
resolution, that said it would,
Encourage,
encourage, but then
Yeah.
there was no, there was nothing included in the resolution thereafter as what would count as a collaborative project.
Yeah.
That meant the agencies were limited or anything like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So that is the summary of this ordinance.
so all this going forward is to regularize what we do, and individuals who've served won't be necessary anymore. And then I want you to put the spreadsheet into an ordinance. No. I'm just kidding.
And I could do that.
I'm just kidding.
So we adopted everything in red, or we adopted, the recommendation of everything in red on Monday. So I think we need to re-adopt, the blue statements. So just
Yeah.
re-adopt the whole word, for recommendation of the ordinance. And Ken would love to do a roll call vote. Once a motion is made.
You're funny.
Who would like to offer a motion?
I'm like, okay, so. I motion that we adopt the two. The two revisions. For the ordinance.
We need a second.
Okay, I will.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion about our revised ordinance? We are ready for a roll call vote. Ms. Shell?
Hey, thank you. Member Johnson,
Yes,
Counselor Munson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard,
Yes.
Member Kapler,
Yes,
Counselor Crossley.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you, and thank you, everybody.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's just awesome.
Make that very easy going.
Oh,
So-
that spreadsheet is.
So does anybody have any further business for this committee? So I'll tell you about two further steps, just because it's important for you to know and for Jean to know. After the vote by the council, because they could change anything they want. But it has never happened. And usually there's such a full agenda that nobody wouldn't even consider it. This will then be presented to the commissioners along with contracts that Kim Shell will prepare. And the contracts are really important because otherwise checks were just written and that's not a good way to handle things. So the contract specifies that the grantee will provide a project report. Because this, I think that's very important because we are spending taxpayer money and they are using taxpayer money. And so I don't know if anybody has ever asked to see the reports, but we can see them, and it's good to have them. And hopefully Kim Shell will have a council assistant at that time who will be receiving the reports and notifying the committee that when reports come in. That sort of thing. So, and then we don't do anything until we forget that we should have appointed somebody in January and it's already March. And we have to find another member. So, Jean, when did we contact you this year?
It was after March.
So, it was the pandemic. We can blame that. We
Yeah.
can add the
yeah, it was
pandemic
the
to our
pandemic.
usual forgetfulness. So I just ask all of us to try and remember this, and we will miss Josh next year.
No.
And we're very interested always in knowing about people who would be good members of this committee.
Okay.
Because we don't just advertise it, because we need people who are knowledgeable.
Got it.
And mostly knowing our community. I don't think they even have to know not-for-profits so much as know our community.
Sure.
So does anybody want to make any further remarks before we adjourn?
Just like
I
to
wanna-
say, it was a pleasure serving on this committee with all of you, and it was a really good process.
Yeah, well, thank you, and we're delighted to have you with us, Jean. And I also want to say, I'm especially delighted to have Molly, Miss Turner King, working with us. It's been really nice. It's been helpful and
Yeah.
very productive with our new proposed revised ordinance.
Yeah.
So how do our ordinances work? Does it have to have a note that this supersedes X, Y, and Z
In the,
in the ordinance? Does that get included?
I think I included that language. In the draft, so.
Because it's really good if it's in the ordinance, then you know you don't even have to pay attention to anything. Because it's superseded.
There is not direct language in the ordinance itself, in the amended, one that we just adopted. I think we can make it clear, when at council, when we have the first reading, that this would, take the place of the 3 prior resolutions.
Okay, well, I'll let you talk about that, or I hope you will talk about that. But so we probably have a lot of ordinances that supersede earlier ordinances. And isn't that legwork? When you have to go through, like, what are the ordinances that pertain to us?
Usually there's language in the ordinance that supersedes it. I think the only other ordinance or code that would perhaps pertain to this particular committee would just be the uniform boards and commission language. And the language in that ordinance says unless it applies unless the committee adopts differing language.
Yes,
So
I
I think our
remember that.
document
Uh-huh,
would supersede that.
okay,
And most of the language that is in the boards and commission is actually included in ours. That's where I pulled the language from for the 2-year membership and the staggering terms and things like that.
okay,
So most of that language is incorporated in your document.
okay. So being an attorney for the county or for the city means you have to know which ordinances are still,
Yes, and
In
that
a-
was one
in
reason that
effect.
Kim and I really or Michelle and I really wanted to put all the resolutions into this ordinance, because what we were doing was, like, looking in my office, I had all three of the prior
Yeah.
ordinances, and I was kind of
Wow.
cross-referencing, so
So-
putting it in one is really.
So. So you only know this from looking, in the future, people would only know this from looking at the minutes of the meeting, which is a terrible way to know anything.
Mhm.
So I think an introductory clause would be that it supersedes. Would you check with your colleagues about
I can
that?
do that.
Because I would, well, I took the LSAT. And then I went on in archaeology. But I did pay attention to it and I briefly considered going to law school, so I just marvel at how attorneys have to work on all the things they have to control. I can't imagine having ordinances just hanging back there that I should be paying attention to, you know? That would be really hard.
Do you want me to go ahead and add language real quick too? And readopt this or
We could,
for a third time?
yeah, I'm sorry, I thought it
It's
was
okay.
at the last minute. We haven't adjourned. I didn't really want to go to my 2 o'clock meeting. How did that happen that you were there and then you disappeared?
I don't know. I'm not.
There you were.
I'm on. I don't know, this thing is weird.
I think it's when you talk, right?
Yeah, but there have been times I know that I haven't like made movement and all of a sudden I see myself on screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's looking at me.
So I just added this sentence.
All right, this is practice for council.
Sure is.
I will make a motion that we adopt the new language that supersedes any previous resolutions and ordinance in this particular ordinance.
I will second.
We have a motion in the second. Michelle, are you still with us? For a roll call vote? Perhaps not. Molly, you might. be-
Yes, yeah, I'm
Oh,
here.
She is. She was
I said
several
you.
feet away from her computer. Okay, Michelle.
All right. Counselor Crossley,
Yes.
Member Kapler,
Yes,
Counselor Munson,
Yeah.
Member Johnson,
Yes.
Counselor Deckard.
Yes.
We have
Motion
a
passed unanimous.
have a unanimous vote and we have a unanimous ordinance draft.
Yes.
Thank you. So, right. We just say future attorneys in Monroe County, the necessity of going back and looking at anything else.
We did.
So great. Are we ready to adjourn?
Mhm.
And so we will be adjourned until next year.
all
Oh,
right.
wow.
Thank you, everybody, again.
Thank you.
Thank you, TSD. Bye, you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
thank you.
awesome.
Cheryl, save this file.
Yes. You made me that.
I will be sending it to Michelle.
So been great being on this committee. Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we can call this the best committee in county government.
I mean, I would continue
We're lucky.
telling people that. I think it's great.
And considering that, I think it was either 2017 or 2018. I think it was 18. I did Jack Hopkins.
Oh, yeah.
This is completely
Oh, we should have asked you.
so much better. Process.
Jim Sims said that to me too, because he was
Yeah.
one of our community members.
The process is it's seamless, it's easy. I just remember having huge books of printouts
Oh,
of
wow.
everything to look at. And when I say a book, it
Oh my
was like this thick of everything. And I mean, you get the same amount of people.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
for some reason, and trying to comb through and being a new member, looking at all of that was completely overwhelming. But yeah.
Wow.
And when was this that you did?
Thank you.
Thank you,
20, I think 17,
Okay. so yeah,
2017 or
Okay.
18. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
My stepmom's up there, we're gonna get an update and, get some more things done before another run up, so. It's a good process. But we're, hopefully we can.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All
Yeah.
right.
See ya.
Take
Bye,
care.
Janet.
Where we're logged in at.
One or two people just.
I'm just going to sit here until my 4 o'clock meeting.
Oh,
I have a 2 o'clock meeting. I'm just going to go.